Welcome back to Professional Playground Only, the podcast spotlighting hair professionals, sharing their journeys and the real life stories behind the good, the bad, and the funny moments in the chair. I'm your host, Hadney Alexander, and today we're joined by Tuesday McClain, a Baltimore-based colorist with over 34 years of experience in the industry. Tuesday is an educator, business owner, and the salon owner of Savvy Color, known for her expertise and long-standing impact within the beauty industry. We're so excited to have her with us today to dive into her journey and her experience behind the chair. Tuesday, my girl, welcome to Professional Playground Only. I'm so glad to have you here with us today. That's you. Yeah, that's your accolades, honey.
Well, that was an amazing introduction. Thank you.
First of all,
much.
that's all you. And there's so much more that people don't even know that you do, but we'll reserve that. Anywho, before we dive in, tell our audience a little about yourself. I know you're currently based in Baltimore. Now, are you originally from there? And how long have you actually been in the industry since you look 20?
Right. So, yes, I am originally a Baltimore native for sure. I have lived here all of my life. So, I started when I was 12 years old. That's the starting age that I always give. But I guess most people probably usually will only count from the time you've been licensed, which I think does a lot of people a disservice because those beginning stages are formidable. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
I include from 12 years old. I just had a birthday and I turned 38.
You look amazing.
So, thank you. So now I guess I can say officially, because I typically will say 34 plus or 30, whatever, but it's really technically been 36 years now. Yes.
Okay. You
Yes.
turned 38.
I'm sorry, 48. The math is not mathing. I turned 48, started at
She
12. So
turned
yes, that would be
28,
36.
everyone. Don't listen to her. She's 28.
Right. Well, I can't be 28. I have a son that's 28, so that's not going to fly.
Hey, no, you look amazing. And for me, just
Yeah.
personal experience, having the opportunity, the pleasure and privilege of working alongside you, your work is amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing. So, Tuesday, I have to say, in addition to that, on a personal level, I just admire the level of consistency, your precision and experience that comes through in everything you do. Even the way you create your posts, it's simply brilliant. Like, you're that
Thanks.
girl. There's a clear depth and confidence in your work. Where did the passion for the specialties that you focus on today begin?
Well, we're not going to start this thing off by crying, but it started with my father because he introduced me unofficially, and officially to the world of art.
Yeah.
And color in particular. And he was a very meticulous artist in everything that he did and put forth and created. And so I watched that, from a baby all the way up until, I started to try to create artistry in a different way. But precision has always been the thing that drove me. Like, no matter what I was doing, whether it was styling, a haircut, or color, it needed to be perfection, right?
Yeah.
Now, obviously, my definition of perfection has evolved with time, but that was kind of the beginning stages of like, whatever you do, it needs to be precise, it needs to be clean, and it needs to be something that's very uniquely you. So I think that in the beginning, people just knew me for being like a super, super great hairstylist, right?
Yeah.
And I'm a visual learner, so I could look at something and recreate it without anyone giving me much instruction. And then, of course, I would put my own little twist on it or whatever. Yeah, like it started out with that. And because that really is the icing on the cake for every cut, every color, I'm glad that it started in that order. Yeah, but that's where the beginning of it came, like watching my father. Now, he created artistry on canvas.
Okay.
And so he just had an innate way of like knowing what translated well on canvas, whether he was creating abstract or portraiture or whatever. It was just something that was God-given. You know what I mean? Now, obviously, he had to hone it and get better as he got older, as did I. But me being able to watch that was something just very peaceful. And I was just always drawn to it. And I'm just like, okay, how can I make whatever I touch beautiful, more beautiful than I found it? So that's how that began.
I love that. Oh, shout out to your father. We're sorry for your loss.
I know.
But I'm so grateful that he has impacted you with something so beautiful that we can cherish everything he gave you. Trust me, we
Yes.
the people, we cherish you. We really do. We really do.
Right.
But Tuesday, before we dive into your journey of the good, the bad, and the funny, I want to start with
Hmm.
something fun to warm us up.
Yes, yes,
You
yes.
ready?
Let's move the emotions. Uh-huh.
Okay. So we're going to switch it up and usually we do a pop question, but today we're going to do a PPO quick picks, okay? It's going to be this or that.
Okay.
All right. So, color or cut? Which do you feel defines your artistry more?
Color.
Okay. Behind the chair or educating? Which has shaped your career the most?
Well, I would say educating
Okay.
because that encompasses behind the chair, essentially. You know what I mean? Like
Huh?
before you are formally looked at as an educator, that's exactly what you are to your clients behind the chair, right? And so, like, learning to speak a language in a way that they can understand what you're saying without like overwhelming them with like specific, industry jargon or
Yeah.
scientific jargon, like being able, not dumb it down. I hate when people use that term, but
Yeah.
just being able to like simplify it as much as possible so that they can understand and have the conversation confidently. And then obviously learning how to speak the language to stylists when you're speaking to stylists. So I think it always starts with education, even behind a chair.
Absolutely agreed. So, creative freedom or client expectation? What do you prioritize?
Managing client expectation, I prioritize that. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, you do. You do. All right. The industry then or the industry now, which do you actually prefer? Because it's definitely a difference in our industry. Do you like appreciate how it was back then or do you appreciate it more now?
If I have to choose, I would have to say then because I always want to honor my beginnings, especially since I had such a unique beginning. Like I didn't go to formal beauty school, which is what most people believe.
Yeah.
I went to a trade school. Shout out to Carver, Go Tech in
Yes.
Baltimore. But my trade was actually business, not cosmetology. Again, when I entered high school, I was already working in a salon as a hairstylist, like under a booth rental model. Definitely too young, definitely not licensed, but the universe allowed that to work out for me.
Yeah.
That being said, I just felt like I needed to learn the other side of business because early on I got to see the struggles of entrepreneurship through my dad, right? And
Yeah.
then I got to see the stability of my mother, who was more of an academic, and followed going to traditional school and then doing a career matching her degree. And so she showed me the importance of specifically following down that path of
Yeah.
formal education, right? And so I got the best of both worlds from both of them.
Yeah.
And early on, I felt like, well, I got this thing, right? I'm already working in a salon, even though I'm not licensed, but I'm making money. And
Yeah.
so I felt like it would be best for me to learn early on about the business so that I could try and not make as many mistakes on the business side of my artistry as I saw my father fumble through. Oh, but of course, I had to go and get my license, and I did, but I did it in an unorthodox way, which was back
Yeah.
then you could go in and work under a senior cosmetologist, get your hours that way. And then I was very disciplined in that, like, I will pick up a book myself
Mhm.
and set time aside to read and implement. And so at that point, it was just more about me learning the science and the knowledge and all the scalp diseases and all the
Mhm.
technical terminology that I did not naturally know, right? Like I naturally had the skill, but then I
Yeah.
had to learn, like, okay, how do I translate that into what state board will approve? So I did that over a 2-year period, and then I got my license that way. And the driving force of me wanting to get the license wasn't anything other than I wanted to work in a more professional environment.
Mhm.
And of course, they had standards, and we don't care how good you are, how many clients you have, how much money you make. We're
Exactly.
not getting fined because you're not licensed. So they said,
Exactly.
get your license, come back and see us. And I did
Yeah.
just that. Yeah.
Good job. Yeah, I'm
So
so
hopefully I
glad.
answered your question.
You
Yeah.
did, you did, you did, and
Okay.
it's funny because I was gonna assume the opposite just because of how in tune and how easy you are able to, like, infuse content and, like, the standards of what you like learn from the beginning. It's just such a
Okay.
beautiful fusion that you do. You have the,
Thank you.
the old school, I don't want to call it old school, but the previous industry, way fused into the new school, and you do it so seamlessly. And I love it.
Thank
I
you.
love
Thank
it. You
you.
got the best of both worlds.
I
Now,
did. I'm so grateful.
you do. You do. And we only got half of that. Okay. All right. So now let's move into the last and fun segment. Okay. Now, this is finish the sentence. I'll give you 3 prompts and you can briefly respond on what
Mhm.
comes to your mind. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So finish the sentence. Being in this industry has taught me.
Being in this industry has taught me how to set and enforce boundaries.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Success to me at this stage looks like.
Success for me at this stage looks like a perfect marriage of what I set out to do being aligned with what I actually consistently do, say, think, and believe. Like they all have to be in harmony. That is my own standard, regardless of what anybody else tries to put on me. So long as I'm living up to that, that's success.
Love that. Look, this is me. Yes, Tank. Yes. All right, sis, I appreciate you sharing that. Now, I want to move into one of my favorite parts of Professional Playground Only. Now, this is our signature segment, and this is where we get real about the good, the bad, and the funny or craziest moments that people don't often see. So let's start with the good. What's been the best or most rewarding experience or moment that you've had behind the chair, if you can name one?
When either I'm learning as a student something new or I'm teaching people something new and I know for sure it's helping them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like those are my best, most proud moments when I can see that all my trials and tribulations, lessons, losses, wins,
Yeah.
all the things, they have been used in a way that is helping someone else forge forward, either quicker, better, or both
Yeah.
than I have. And so, like, that's what fills me up the most.
I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. Yeah. Well, we
Yeah.
appreciate your education too. Trust me, on the receiving end, you are amazing.
Thank you.
You really are. Hence why you got the awards. Anywho,
Okay.
now, Tuesday, with every high, there usually comes a moment that challenges you and helps you to grow. Now, without, of course, disclosing any names or salons, we always want to
Right.
dignify others. What's
Right.
some experience that's been the most challenging or difficult moments in your career that has tested you professionally or emotionally?
So, if I can group all of my experiences of working in diverse salons together as one and bring it to one universal, consistent lesson, that I was constantly
Hmm.
pushed towards, is that you really have to understand and honor the psychology of people, period. Not everybody's going to think like you and move like you, and you can't project that onto others. You can't allow anyone to project that onto you either. But just having enough neurological knowledge of how the brain works, being culturally aware and sensitive to people's story that you may or may not know and how you interact with them. You know what I mean? Because everybody is going through something. Now, that doesn't mean like forgive them for being, rude or nasty or anything like that, but just understanding that and just not being so quick to judge and just always being curious, you know what I mean, about how I can make this dynamic that I'm a part of work.
Yeah.
So those are always the constant universal lessons across any salon that I've ever worked in, but I say pulling all of the diverse salons that I've worked in together as one because I feel like you are always going to be pushed the hardest and forced to learn the most about yourself and others when you are working in environments where the people don't look like you, where
Yeah.
they think drastically different than you. Not saying that you don't learn from environments where the people do look like you, talk like you, potentially think like you,
Yeah.
because you do learn, but not at scale,
Yeah.
not at scale the way you do when you're around people who don't look like you. So I'm grateful for those experiences, right? Because it has made me better in every way I can think of.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be it.
What did you learn about yourself that you feel like you're like, okay, this was a hard moment, but I learned this about myself?
Well, I don't know it because it's so many lessons. Honestly, I would say all of the lessons that I learned pushed me to switch my career, not career, but switch my degree from university, from biology to psychology, right? And
Mm,
taking those courses, specifically neurology, I will mention that until the cows come home because
yeah.
it really helps you to understand like that's a separate thing, right? It's not about
Yeah.
personality, right? It's not even about choice past a certain point. Some people are wired to do and be, you know what I mean, differently. And you have to like respect that. So
Yeah.
all of those experiences pushed me to go in that direction. And I really enjoyed it. And it taught me the most about myself, about the type of learner that I am, what motivates me. It taught me what my triggers are, right? Where they come from. Like it taught me strategies around like handling ups and downs.
Yeah.
And so without all of those experiences, I probably wouldn't have appreciated all the meat and potatoes that I got from that degree track.
Yeah.
But I would certainly say my first degree was business in the associate's program. But I wish that I would have switched them. Knowing what I know now, I wish I would have still skipped beauty school, done it the way that I did it. I have no regrets
Yeah.
around that because it has honed the ability for me to think outside of the box. And I think
Yeah.
that's a beautiful thing that a lot of people miss sometimes when they get stuck in one way of doing things because they learned their
A
first
certain
learning experience was beauty school. But I wish I would have switched to psychology and done that as an associate's degree and then, did a bachelor's, master's in business. So hopefully that answers your question. I know I answered in a little unorthodox way, but like that's what it taught me. It taught me a lot of things about myself, and I can't just pick one. But if I had to pick
Mhm.
one, it would be learning how the brain works,
Yeah.
right? Like that
Yeah.
is ultimately learning how the brain works in general. I just would have done so many things differently with that
Yeah.
knowledge if I learned it sooner from my parenting style, how I love myself, you know what I mean? How I interact
Mhm.
with people, how much I would have been able to understand my parents better and not judge them so much. You know what I mean? It would
Yeah.
have helped me
Yeah.
be a little more forgiving a little quicker. But it happened in the order that it happened.
Yeah, I feel like so what I'm extracting from your expressions is that you appreciate the neural side of the science to handle situations that can be difficult so that now being able to have been in diverse environments, you can understand it's not just the personality, it's not the skill or how good you are. There's so much more neurologically, that's involved with people that you're like, okay, handle this differently because this is what this is
Yes.
about. So I
Right,
get that.
right.
I
Keep
get that.
the main thing, the goal, but you have to be open and flexible with how you navigate getting there,
Yeah.
depending on who you're having to interact with,
No matter how bad the situation can
no
be.
matter how
Yeah.
bad, right? Because
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
always light at the end of the tunnel. You can
Yeah.
always extract some positive, even out of the worst situations.
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever had a situation where, you give like your best, either a client or a salon or whatever environment and felt like I did not receive the proper recognition for the work I put into. Have you ever gone through that? Even knowing neurologically, like, okay, everybody's different. Everybody comes from different environments. Have you ever had like oh, I tried my best. I can't. I'm tapped out.
I definitely had some screamable moments for sure,
Yeah,
but I think the way I think about things never leads me where you just described because
got you.
I'm never going to ask, why is this happening to me? I'm
Yeah,
always going to ask first, what am I supposed to learn here? And so I am never going to be satisfied until I find, extract, or create a solution.
yeah.
Only then will I let myself rest.
I
So
love
that's
that.
just a crazy way that my brain works and sees things and thinks
Yeah.
about things. So I'm never going to throw my hands up at
That's
anything.
good though. That's good. Listen,
Yeah.
that's a good way of coping. Okay.
It's exhausting, but that is how my mind works.
Understood. I like that. Meanwhile, back in the ranch, we're like this. I quit. And I
Right.
have examples as to why.
Right, right, right. Well, here's the thing. I think that everyone should definitely know the difference between quitting
Yeah.
and knowing when to end something
Yeah.
gracefully,
That's
right?
true.
And all I'm
That's
saying
true.
is when I meet that point where it is the end,
Yeah.
trust me, a system has changed or been put in
Yeah.
place that wasn't there before, right? I've extracted a new way of doing things, approaching things, a new method, a new model, a new something, a new
Yeah.
website, a new form somebody is filling out. Something has come out of that experience, even if I choose to end whatever dynamic that is, right? And I'm
Yeah.
always grateful for the thing that led me to the new thing that I've created. So I'm never going to just walk away without a solution of some kind being
Yeah.
attached if I choose to walk away. But here's the thing, they say every 7 years, we are always shredding relationships, right? That
Mm.
doesn't mean that you're shredding people. So long
Yeah.
as people are like growing together with you,
Yeah.
even at that 7 year mark, the two people will be different versions of themselves, right? So in that case, like you're shredding the old version, the old dynamic or
Absolutely.
whatever, right? Like business model may change. Like you may go from booth rental to, I don't know, like commission.
Yep.
I have a lot of forms and rules and hoops that people need to jump through now to get in my chair. It wasn't always like that. So, does that mean that I have all new clients now that I have these new business models and new forms and new, methodologies and new onboarding processes? No, but unfortunately, that means that a lot of clients who were cool with the gateway to get to me before I had all it in place,
Yeah.
some of them self selected out, right?
Yeah.
However, new people have replaced them that appreciate
Yeah.
the fact that those things are in place because ultimately, boundaries, forms, whatever,
Yes.
models, whatever, they are there to help navigate the most healthiest dynamic and relationship between myself and the client. It's there for protection. It's never there to harm or to
Yeah.
hassle anyone. I mean, there are people who appreciate that, and there are going to be people that don't. Right. So even me, I'm a new version of myself every 7. I'm always shedding and
Yeah.
evolving and learning something new. I'm still me, but just a more evolved version.
I love it. I love it. I love
That was very
that.
lengthy, but hopefully I covered
Yeah.
the
No, you
bases.
covered it. You covered it.
Okay.
You covered it. Stylists will appreciate that. They're gonna be like, let me put my forms in place. Okay.
Yes,
Now
please.
listen,
Quickly.
there's bound to be like hilarious moments. What's been one of the funniest or craziest experience or moments that you've experienced in your career behind the chair? If you could name one.
I have to say, my funniest moments, shout out to Anthony Williams. He is so not tech, so he will probably never see this. But people, if you know, you know. If you know Tony, AKA Tony, you know. He was the funniest person I've ever worked with. We had a blast all the time. But the funniest moment between him and I that I share with people all the time is when I think I was maybe like 22, 23, I can't remember. And I had decided that I was going to let go of the relaxer, right? I was probably 10 years old when I got my first relaxer, and I was trying to move all of my clients away from that. Nothing's wrong with relaxer. I just prefer, right? Clients to come in for color. And for me, I preferred not to do those two chemicals on the same strand of hair. And so I was encouraging and coaxing all of my clients to move away from the relaxer so that we can just focus on learning their natural texture, making that healthy, and then introducing color,
Mhm.
right? And so, of course, we are our first billboard. And
Yeah.
so while I was able to just educate and coach people along, there were a lot of people who were still holding on to the creamy crack. So I took the plunge because I've always had sensitive scalp and I was ready to just let it go because I'm like, I've been round brushing, half of my
Yeah.
life. Like I can get the hair straight. I don't need the relaxer. I can't even get my hair super straight with it anyway because my scalp will burn too much no matter
Yep.
what brand I tried. So I
Yep.
had to rinse it off quick. Hence the reason why I'm like, let's just let it go. So I said to myself, my hair was maybe like around this length, a little bit shorter with a relaxer though. Okay. And so I wanted highlights. I wanted to introduce like some more, high level blonding into my own hair. And I'm like, I'm not doing that while still have a relaxer. So I said, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to cut a bang. Okay. And then because I didn't get relaxers as often, probably like every 3 months, every 4 months, I'm like, okay, well, if I cut the bang, that'll be my way of learning slowly, right? What my natural texture looks like. How does it
Yeah.
operate? How does it move? How does it, you know what I mean? Swell under pressure. Like, how long does it stay straight if I straighten it? So I did that. And by the way, Tony and I met because I came to him to get my hair blown out before we ever worked together. Right. So
Okay. Okay.
I want to preface that to say, so he knew my hair well. And he's like, I can't curse, but he's like,
No.
girl, okay. I know those strands. Okay. You
I knew
should
them
not
roots.
let that relaxer go. He was like, and if you do, I'm never going to blow dry your hair for you. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I was like, that is not fair. Because at the time, I was really the only stylist in the salon
Yeah.
who was really doing natural hair, right? Everybody else, most of their clients were still getting relaxers. And so it was just foreign to the people in the salon. That particular salon, it was all Black stylists. Just, I want to preface that to say. So, like that was a big moneymaker in the salon. And here I am, like, no, we're moving away from it. We're just going to focus on color. They're like, what? Like, that's
Yeah.
what do you mean? That's no. So anyway, I cut the bang. I'm sitting in my chair. His station is maybe 3 stations away from mine. Nikki, if you're watching this, she's a little tech savvy. She might lock in. I don't know. But you know the story. Her station was behind mine. And so we're talking about it. And she was like, well, T, what are you going to do? I said, well, I'm probably just going to like maybe eventually cut a bob. But first, let's see what this bang does. Like, I see how she act before I really decide. And then maybe I'll just go into a sew-in, right? Until I let all the relaxer grow out. So I cut the bang. Meanwhile, Tony is ear hustling.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, of course.
But we not paying him no mind. So he walks in the back. His back is kind of set up like ours is in the salon, but just the salon was a little bit bigger. So it was really the case where, if you're here, you can kind of see what's happening in the back room a little bit. In that salon, Bounce, shout out to Bounce, you could not. So he goes in the back, pulls the relaxer on a comb, runs in the front, and he comes up to me. The comb is behind his back. And so he was like, let me see. He said, he said, why did you cut a bang? He combs the relaxer in my freaking bang.
No, he didn't.
And so he said, now we are not going relaxer free in here. I was screaming. Everybody was laughing. I run in the back. I'm like, Tyrone, oh my God. That was our shampoo assistant at the time. You got to rinse it out.
My gosh.
So needless to say, that did not stop me, right? Because once I have my mind locked in on something, you know me well.
Yes.
It's going down, right?
Absolutely.
So I did it irregardless. But that is by far the funniest moment because after that whole fiasco, he and I'm jumping on his back. We doing a whole fake fight in the middle of the salon. Clients needing to be served, I might add.
Of course.
Well, his clients, because I didn't have a client at the time, which is why I was, fooling with my hair. But that was the funniest and just wild just moment that comes to mind. But I have so many, but they all usually revolve around him.
I love it. Shout out to him. Shout out to Tony. We love that. Honey, the natural hair community will lose their mind if you did that. What? Off with their heads.
Yes.
Off with their heads.
Said, we are going to fight. Seriously. So, of course, I have so many more moments, but I won't bore you with that. But that's the first one that came to mind. Yeah.
I love that. Now, Tuesday, my girl, I want to ask you something for the next generation of stylists and creators before we close. For anyone who wants to follow in your footsteps, what helped you sustain longevity in this industry, Tuesday? And what advice would you give to the stylist starting today?
The advice that I would give to the stylist starting today, first of all, you don't have to go to school and get a business degree as I did. You don't have to go to school and get a psychology degree as I did. But I do think you should at least enroll in a class to get the basics of Business 101, right? A class to get the basics of understanding how the brain works, personality disorders, all the things that work together synergistically with respect to somebody might need talk therapy versus somebody might actually need medicine to help their brain navigate faculties that maybe just don't work properly, right? You need to understand those things because you're in the business of servicing people. You have to work with others, right? You need to learn yourself. So you need that psychology piece, like hands down. Again, doesn't have to be a degree, but at least enroll in community college and take a neurology course. Take something to learn about different cultures. You know what I mean? You don't want to ever be stuck feeling like, I'm just fine in this little bubble with the people that I know, because that's going to change and you want to be prepared for that and have strategies and skills and cultural awareness and sensitivity so that you can do well.
Absolutely.
Anybody in the service industry, you don't have to be a hairstylist. If you're servicing others and you're working with other people, you need that.
Absolutely.
A lot of artists don't do well, not because they're not talented, not because they're not good, right? Not because they're not capable, but it's because they treat the craft as if it's a one and done thing. It's not. It's so many parts that make it all work synergistically. And once you learn the basic of those parts, you have to be willing to pivot and evolve all the time. If that is not something you want to do, this is not the industry for you, because it is going to push you. And rather than being pushed, you just always want to just understand that you need to already be anticipating what changes and pivots will I need to make in the next 5 years, so that you're not thrusted into it like COVID, you know what I mean? Thrusted many of us into it. Like, we don't want to be thinking of what to do when those types of moments hit us. We already kind of want to be prepared. And then finally, the business side requires you to understand your numbers and your finances, because when you have economic pressure surrounding something you love, it stunts your creativity. It stunts your ability to scale. It stunts your ability to think. Because if you can't think clearly, you cannot create. And if you can't do either of those things, you can't scale. And if you can't do any of those things, you can't grow. So like, that's it in a nutshell. You know what I mean? Like, it may not be fair, because most people will say like, well, they didn't teach us that in cosmetology school. Well, cosmetology school wasn't supposed to teach you that. You have to get out of that mindset of what somebody didn't do for you. You have to understand that it is your responsibility to create the quality of life that you want. No one's going to give it to you. And you have to understand and appreciate when someone gives you this piece over here, let's put it in the cosmetology bucket. That is it. And that's all. There's other elements that you need to learn and hone. And you're going to have to go outside of cosmetology school to do that constantly. Life student, the end.
Life student, the end. Bars on bars on bars. Bam, 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 bam. Tuesday, my girl, thank you so much for sharing your journey. We truly appreciate you being part of the Professional Playground Only today. You did fantastic.
Thank you.
We needed you. That's my girl, but she's amazing. Amazing. Now, my audience, if you enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe at Professional Playground Only, and share with your stylist friends, and follow Tuesday on all platforms. You'll actually find her information on the screen below. But until then, we will see you on the next episode. Epi, that's it. We done.
Hey, Karen.
Okay.